So all of you can prepare for your questions. We'll take after Mangalasharan, we'll take questions. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतुसे नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So we welcome everyone for today's discussion. So today first we'll take question answers. If somebody has any questions, you can raise your hand and ask. Yes. Who got the question? Devoted person, Yadavji. Please ask your question. Hare Krishna. So yesterday we discussed from Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. We started 2 days back, second chapter, and verse number second. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. The very first verse in Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Lord. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Kutastva kasmalamidam visme samupastitam anare justam aswargam akirti karamarjuna. So, this verse we discussed and we were reading the purport. The translation is as follows. The Supreme Personality of God had said, to whom he is addressing, to whom he is telling, Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying to Arjuna, and through Arjuna he is telling to us. So, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. So Krishna is surprised. How come Arjuna, being such a great royal Kshatriya, developed such kind of impure conception, impure mentality, maintaining material attachments, and because of bodily material attachment, he is declining to fight. He is dharma. He is avoiding his dharma duty. Similarly, this is a great surprise for the Supreme Lord when he sees the living entities who are superior by nature. Every living entity is by nature superior. So how come he has developed this impurity of developing attachments towards material world? And because of which he is forgetting his real dharma. What is the real dharma of the living entity? To serve Krishna. So forgetting his real dharma, the service of the Supreme Lord Krishna, he is maintaining so much material attachments and declining to serve Krishna. So that is an impurity. Krishna is asking, Kutastva kasmalam idam, from where you have acquired this impurity. So the beautiful purport Srila Prabhupada writes, and we have already covered more than half of the purports, 2 days. So finally, Srila Prabhupada establishes that Krishna is not only the Supreme Lord, he is the original source of all the incarnations. So in the Bhagavatam, uh, in the first canto, third chapter, there is list of many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna is described as the original personality of Godhead, from whom many, many incarnations and personalities of Godhead expand. So this is from verse from Bhagavatam. Ete cham sakala pumsha Vishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Rvayante Yuge Yuge. All the lists of incarnations of God had submitted herewith are either plenary expansions or parts of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Bhagavan Swayam. So Krishna is, that's why in this verse, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam, it is mentioned. Ete means all the list which have been given by Sukadeva Goswami in that chapter, third chapter. Ete, all the incarnations are either Amsha means part, plenary part, and Kala, part of the plenary part, Kala, Pumsha of the Supreme Lord. But Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam, Swayam Bhagavan, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom all the Pumsa Avatar, three Vishnus come, and from these three Vishnus, Amsh and Kala appear from time to time to execute their business in this material world. So therefore, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, the source of both super soul and impersonal Brahman. So this there are many proofs also uh, we get from Bhagavatam, where we can understand that Krishna is the original source. He is even the source of all the Vishnu incarnations. In Brahma Vimohan Leela, when Lord Brahma stole all the calves and covered boys, at that time Krishna himself expanded as all the millions of calves and covered boys. And later on, when Lord Brahma was shown that all those calves and covered boys were none other than Supreme Lord Narayana himself. So all the calves and covered boys, they has resumed their original form as having Sankha Chakra Gada Padma, Chaturabhuj Narayan form. So this is one example, one pastime where we understand Krishna expanded himself in Narayana form, and he can expand himself into unlimited Narayana forms. So that means Narayana, Lord Narayana is source of all the incarnations. That's why when Lord Brahma started offering prayers, she immediately recognized Krishna, that you are the original Narayana, source of all the Narayanas. So in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsman is certainly unbecoming. And therefore, Krishna expressed his surprise with the word Kutaha, where from you have acquired such a dirty mentality. Such impurities were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men known as Aryans, especially from a man who belongs to a civilized class of society, like Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. They are known as civilized class of society. So, such kind of mentality of maintaining material attachments for uh, relatives, blood relatives, and for the sake of maintaining those attachments, if somebody gives up his duty, that is not at all a befitting situation. He is not at all an Aryan. Aryan is not expected to be like this. So similarly, all the human beings, they have got, anyone who has gotten this human form of life, so that is their duty to become fully Krishna conscious. So if somebody, because of maintaining some kind of material attachments, is declining to execute the real business of human form of life, that is to serve Krishna and to become uh, properly situated in the path of devotional service, so then that is not at all a good situation. That is an impurity within the heart. So the word Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realization. Aryans are known as who know the value of human form of life, and they lead their life on the path as described by scriptures in order to achieve spiritual realization, self-realization. So persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realization of the absolute truth, Vishnu or Bhagavan, and they are captivated by the external features of the material world. And therefore they do not know what liberation is. So those human beings, those persons who are captivated by the desires for sense gratification only, and because of which they are unable to identify the real purpose of human life, then they are no better than animal. They are not at all Aryan, civilized person. The persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Although Arjuna was a Kshatriya, he was deviating from his prescribed duties by declining to fight. This act of cowardice is described as befitting the non-Aryans. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of a spiritual life, nor does it even give one the opportunity to become famous in this world. Lord Krishna did not approve of the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kinsman. So such kind of behavior is like a act of cowardice, a fearful person, one who is very fearful, who has no confidence, and who is powerless to execute. Although he knows, Arjuna knew this is my duty to fight. As a Kshatriya, I am duty bound to fight, but still, because of this attachment, material attachment, he became so weak that he is declining to fight. Similarly, a devotee, especially a devotee who knows that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and Krishna's devotional service should be performed in all situations, if because of maintaining some kind of material attachments, he deviates from the principle of serving Krishna, uh, simply considering what other person's impact will be upon me, then he is a cowardice. He is not befitting to be a devotee. Devotee means he should be ready to accept devotional service to Krishna in all circumstances. Then he is a proper devotee. So in this way, in this second verse, Krishna is chastising Arjuna with surprise. Kutastva kasmalamidam visme samupasthitam anarejustam aswargam akirtikaram. Okay, so we'll stop here. Tomorrow we'll take third verse. And in the second verse, with surprise, Krishna chastised little bit, but in the third verse, Krishna speaks very strongly. Yes, yes, that's I want. You want that? Yeah. Oh, okay. Krishna says, Klabhyam ma ismuga mahapartha na etattvayupapadyate Shudram hridadaurabalyam tyakva uttishta parantapa. It's a very, very strong word, especially for Arjuna. Klabhya means important. Give up this importancy. You are a Kshatriya. Why are you acting like an important person? Not important, important. A person who fears to uh, show his strength is known as important. Krishna chastised very heavily in the third verse. And then Arjuna, after hearing this verse, he becomes a little bit disturbed. And then he will give two more reasons why he doesn't want to fight. But finally, Arjuna will broke down and he will start lamenting. Still his mind filled with all confusion and lamentation. Finally, he will understand that only Krishna's guidance can help me to overcome this confusion, and then he will finally take complete shelter of the Supreme Lord. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If there are any question, you can ask. Yes, any question?
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Mataji.
And with Pranam. Prabhu, just want to ask Aryan meaning you have told in the paragraph. So what is there that sentence including value of life? What it exactly means Aryan know the value of
Value.
life. That I
Yes,
want to.
Aryan
Hare
means
Krishna.
one who knows the value of human form of life. So value of human form of life is not to acquire lots of sense gratification and die like cats and dogs. That is not the real value of human form of life. Just like it's like you sell a diamond ring for purchasing something very cheap product, some very cheap product. If suppose if a boy, if a small child, he takes the diamond ring of his mother and goes and just to purchase some Cadbury. So what is the how foolishness it is. Similarly, having this most valuable human form of life, and if in exchange of this human form of life, if somebody purchases simply a cheap sense gratification, material sense gratification, which is easily available for hogs and dogs and cats, animals also. So what is the use? Lord Rishabdev he also chastises very heavily in Bhagavatam. He says, uh, what is that verse? Griloke. कष्टान कामान अर्हति विडभुजाम ये कष्टान कामान अर्हति विड विद्याम तपो दिव्यम पुत्र का ओ कष्टान कामा कष्टान कामान अर्हति विद भुजाम ये हाँ that is there श्रीमद् भागवतम नायम देहो देह भाजाम त्रिलोके नायम देहो देह भाजाम त्रिलोके this is in Srimad Bhagavatam by fifth canto fifth verse fifth chapter verse number first very first verse. As soon as Rishabdev Maharaj he started giving instruction to his 100 sons, the very first verse he spoke to all of his sons. Putraka, he said, Nayam deho deha bhajam nriloke, kastan kaman arhate vidbhujam je, tapo divyam putraka, yena sattam suddhet yashmad brahma saukhyam tanantam. Na ayam deho means this human form of life. This deha, this human form of life which you have got, that should not be utilized like deha bhajam nriloke, kastan arhate vidbhujam ye. My dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. That is the value of human form of life. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. Brahma Sakhyam Tvanam. So that is the meaning of value of human life. It's a great value. It is of great value, and the cheap so-called sense gratification, material happiness is of no value. This, any human being who leads his life simply for acquiring this cheap material happiness, he is actually a very foolish person. He is simply wasting the most valuable opportunity in exchange of very cheap thing. That is which is not at all desirable. Okay. Yes. Next question. Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी मैंने क्वेश्चन मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि एक अपने यहाँ गौरी वैष्णविज्म में कोई बुक है जिसमें संस्कृत के रूल्स एक्सप्लेन्ड हैं। पता नहीं रूप गोस्वामी जी ने लिखी या फिर श्रीला जीव गोस्वामी ने लिखी है, उसका नाम मुझे बता
हरिनामामृत
दीजिए
व्याकरण
प्लीज।
हरिनामामृत व्याकरण written by I think
ओके
Jeev Goswami.
प्रभु जी इसके
Yes.
लेक्चर अवेलेबल होंगे क्या यूट्यूब पे, आपके चैनल पे या
No.
कहीं और? नहीं होंगे।
Actually, if somebody wants to learn Sanskrit, he can refer Harinamamrit Vyakaran. But actually, it is not required to learn Sanskrit. If you simply read Prabhupada books, shloka, word-to-word meaning, translation, and purport, that's all. That is enough. Because we have very less time, and in that less time also, we are forced to engage most of our time in material activities, job, studies, so many things. So whatever little time we get, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, we should simply invest it in reading Srila Prabhupada books, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and preaching. That's all. That is sufficient. So not required.
ओके प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्ण।
Yes, another question.
Hare Krishna, Vijay Dandapuna. Prabhu, there also one other statement continued with the same line, like spiritual advancement of life. The Aryan also know the spiritual advancement of life. Such kind of sentence was written. So value of life is different what you explained, or we can relate equally to the spiritual advancement of life. Both are like interconnected. Hare Krishna.
Yes. And so value of human form of life is to make a spiritual advancement. If somebody has utilized his human form of life to make a spiritual advancement, that means he has properly utilized the human form, that valuable human form of life. That is the real price of this human form of life. Just to make a spiritual advancement. That's all.
Thank you, Prabhu. Beautifully explained. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
How to control the desire to learn so much? No, we need not to control the desire to learn so much. We should have the desire to learn so much, but so much, not just so much, everything. unlimited, and Krishna is unlimited. Krishna is everything. So we should only have the desire to learn. Rather, we can say we should only have the desire to know Krishna. That's all. If you know Krishna, you know everything. You are the most learned person. And Krishna, in one of the lectures, Srila Prabhupada says, the one who knows Krishna, he is the best scientist. He is the best philosopher. Somebody may say, how you become best scientist, best philosopher? Krishna says, I make him scientist. Prabhupada ji bolte hain in lecture. Prabhupada says, if somebody argues that how you become so big philosopher, Krishna says, I make him scientist. I make him philosopher. Dadami buddhi yoga. One who engages in Krishna's devotional service all the time. So Krishna says, I give him intelligence. So suppose if the source of your intelligence, if source of your knowledge is Krishna himself, so how much knowledge and intelligence you will get? How much learning you will get? Unlimited, because Krishna is unlimitedly intelligent, Krishna is unlimitedly knowledgeable, Krishna is unlimitedly powerful, learned. Who could be more knowledgeable and more intelligent than Supreme Lord Krishna? That's why a devotee who is fully surrendered to Krishna, pure devotee, he is also unlimitedly knowledgeable, unlimitedly learned. Srila Prabhupada was unlimitedly learned and unlimitedly knowledgeable. Why? Because he took complete shelter of Krishna. So it doesn't matter whoever came in front of Srila Prabhupada, whether scientist, philosopher, religionist, or anyone, Prabhupada could easily defeat if they presented any deviating philosophy. He never got defeated. Prabhupada was always undefeatable. Even whether it was scientist, philosopher, religionist, no matter. And Srila Prabhupada didn't require to read their philosophy, didn't require to know about them before their coming. Whoever used to come and used to say, what is your opinion about falana falana sadhu, falana falana swami, and falana philosopher? Srila Prabhupada simply asked, what is his philosophy? Then the person used to explain, he says like this. And if it is not according to the scriptural injunctions, not according to the supreme versions of Supreme Lord Krishna, then immediately Srila Prabhupada said, this is bogus. This is nonsense. And if it follows the principles of the scriptures, then Prabhupada said, that's all right. Simple. So we also don't require to know about the rubbish thing, especially Mayavad philosophy. We don't require to read and understand. If we simply take shelter of the teachings of our acharyas, especially for us, Srila Prabhupada, then we'll come to know everything. What is Mayavad, what is not Mayavad, what is materialism, what is dogism, what is Buddhism, what is impersonalism, every ism. All the isms you will understand simply by knowing one ism, that is Krishnaism. If you know Krishnaism, then you know all the isms. If you don't know Krishnaism, then you don't know any ism. Then the person is only bewilderism. Very simple. Animalism, dogism. That's all. Okay. Any other question? Last question we can take. We have only 3.5 minutes.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, मेरा हरिनाम चिंतामणि से क्वेश्चन था, सुबह रह गया था।
हाँ, पूछ लीजिए।
पूछ लूं क्या?
यस।
हाँ प्रभु जी, मतलब मेरा राम जी के तरफ उतना झुकाव नहीं है और मेरे घर में वर्शिप की जाती है उनकी ज्यादातर, मतलब उन्हीं को माना जाता है। तो जो भी फंक्शन वगैरह होते हैं, अ, जैसे रामायण का पाठ वगैरह, तो मैं उनमें इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं दिखाती हूँ ज्यादा, तो वो भी अपराध में आएगा क्या?
इट डिपेंड्स। सो यू शुड हियर राम कथा। राम कथा सुनिए, राम जी के बारे में जब पता चलेगा तो उनके प्रति अटैचमेंट आ जाएगा, बिकॉज we develop attachment and eagerness to serve or to offer respect to somebody when we know about you. So Lord Ramchandra and Lord Krishna are they are not two persons. They are the same one person. Krishna only came, he only appears as Ramchandra, and Ramchandra only comes as Krishna. They have different mood, different pastimes, but Lord Ramchandra's pastimes are also very, very auspicious and equally auspicious as Krishna's pastimes and equally powerful to liberate one from this material existence. Lord Ramchandra's pastimes are so magnanimous, so great, that even stones will melt upon hearing his pastimes. That is the power of Lord Ramchandra's pastime. So we should fully take part in worshipping and serving Lord Ramchandra. But of course, in our family day to day in general, they whatever they do, that may not be properly done. Uh, Whether Ramchandra's pastimes or Krishna's pastimes or any incarnation pastimes, any incarnation's katha, we should only hear and take part if it is organized, if it is done by, spoken by, delivered by a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. Then only it is effective. But if it is not, then even we are unwilling to hear the pastimes of our beloved Lord. Suppose if somebody is too much attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if anyone who is not a devotee of the Supreme Lord, we are not inclined to hear from him. He may pose as a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that's why he says, in all the places where Lord Chaitanya visited, I desire to visit along with Pranaya Bhakata Sangha, devotees, I mean pure devotees who has genuine love for the Lord, not with uh, means false devotees. Okay, so in general, whatever katha they do, that they are all professional reciters. So it's better to avoid that, and you peacefully sit in the room and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, hear Prabhupada's lecture, read Prabhupada's lecture. So then it is not an offense.
हाँ हाँ मैं रिस्पेक्ट करती हूँ इक्वली बट पता
Yes,
नहीं
yes.
क्यों
So better,
मुझे
you chant Hare Krishna and read and hear Prabhupada's lecture. Okay.
ओके